Can they see me adjusting my penis?
Should I go in the corner?
Yes. I think someone should.
Oh, we're back, guys. Hi.
Too late, we're
Damn
back.
it.
Sorry about that. We got dropped. Hey, welcome back to our discussion about the Blair Witch Project from 1999. And someone in the chat had said something interesting that I was curious. Oh, so yeah.
Acid in the drink.
Yeah, Genghis Khan.
No,
no.
somebody else.
Salisbury.
Yeah.
Salisbury said that they went to go see the Blair Witch Project in 1999 in the movie theater, and their friends put acid in their drink and hasn't revisited since. My question is, are you still friends with those people? Was that like we did it for a goof, and now you're insane? Like, how did that go? I'm curious. Is Dylan okay? Asked Costa. Yes.
Aww.
All good.
I'm fine too. Thanks, Costa. Love you. I'm kidding.
Anything else we want to say about the Blair Witch before we move on to the Blair Witch 2 Book of Shadows? I'm sorry. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2.
Yeah.
A Blair Witch saga.
I think it 86% Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
I think this movie, despite being, I think it gets more credit than just being first. Like, it was the first in modern cinema to do something like this. But I think it's even better than that. Like, a lot of nostalgia blinders would be just like, oh, it was first, so we're going to respect it. Even with that removed, I actually still think this is a really, really strong flick. And I appreciated it more. Yeah.
Sorry, Sushan just texted me. Whatever just happened was very strange. You and Alice were frozen in shocked expressions. Then the stream ended abruptly.
That's the Blair Witch. Blair Witch. Blair Witch.
You say her name 3 times and she appears, and it's me.
And it's me.
Hello.
So I'm trying to remember. I was listening to an interview with these cats, Eduardo and David, on another podcast because of the anniversary, 25th anniversary. And I'm trying to remember if any of the tidbits were interesting. Besides the fact that they didn't expect it to do anything.
Yeah.
It was just a lark. So one of the things I forgot about is at the end, you are following Mike. Mike, who's the boom guy, right? He's the sound guy. So you're following Josh as he's running down the steps. Heather's still upstairs. But when the thing happens to him down in the basement, you are still hearing Heather from upstairs through the boom mic in the basement.
Yeah.
And you hear her getting closer and closer as she's coming down. It's so effective.
Which the third movie plays with a lot of shit like that too, where you're seeing cross-cutting between different cameras and sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But kind of the interesting thing about that, beyond that little interesting tidbit, is that they did that whole thing and then it did not record properly, so they had to redo that ending, which sucks. But it's just as effective as if I think the first time. Like it feels like the first time of a take. It doesn't feel like something that they went back and like tried to recreate. I think
wonderful.
it's very effective. Brothers Salisbury, we're still friends, but it started a huge prank war between us.
Don't send details.
I ran over your dog.
Yeah, it's
like what's next after?
Well, how do you escalate from drugging someone? But anyway,
I'm glad you're okay.
We've only got so much time.
Right,
we should move on to Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2, which came out October 27th, 2000. 14% Rotten Tomato score. So, it's an underdog. Written by
I think that's
Dick Beebe.
Dick Beebe.
And Joe Berlinger, directed by Joe Berlinger, who was famous for documentaries before this. Starring Jeffrey Donovan, Erica Learson, and Kim Director. A group of tourists arrive in Burkittsville, Maryland, after seeing the Blair Witch Project to explore the mythology and phenomenon, only to come face to face with their own neuroses and possibly the witch herself.
It's me.
That sounds so cool. What a fun idea.
I think
from.
Go on.
Oh, from my understanding, this movie takes place not in the Blair Witch world, right, where the thing actually happened, but in our world where the Blair Witch movie came out and was.
In the world,
was it real? Was it not?
The Blair Witch movie is a fake movie.
Yeah, and so everyone. The phenomenon happens and everyone floods to Burkittsville.
Yeah,
and there's
Well, so. Yes and no. This is so overly convoluted.
Yeah.
In the world of this movie, the stories about the Blair Witch and Rustin Parr and Burkittsville are real, but these guys made a fake movie about it called The Blair Witch, and because that was so popular, all of the inhabitants of Burkittsville are either pissed about it because you have all these tourists all the time, and or pop-up capitalists like selling sticks, rocks.
I sold rocks out of my garden.
Yeah.
That I was cracking up when she's like, "Yeah, they wanted some rocks, so I went out in my rock garden. I didn't want to sell them, but then they gave me $10 and I sold them." And I was like,
But then
"I love
like,
you."
We don't really sell that many. We sell them in person, but we don't really sell them online because shipping a rock is really expensive.
It's so
What a nice little touch.
Yeah.
That's just it. Like there's
the beginning of the movie is fun.
The world of this movie, I would objectively, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. The idea.
This movie is so aggressively bad.
It was the longest 87 minutes.
It is garbage, not trash. It is wet.
It's garbage.
Stinky garbage.
I can make
glitter in it.
I can debate certain pieces of the movie that I think are like really cool.
Oh yeah.
But as a whole, it is such a bad movie.
Yeah.
Like in the first 10 minutes. It is aggressively bad. Like it starts with a really, really great old school MTV News thing with Kurt Loder and some real news footage of people reacting to the phenomenon the previous year of the movie, and then it goes into like a really, really bad music video style footage of
Jeffrey Dahmer,
handsome actor in a loony bin with sped up footage of his head shaking and like
him running
against the walls and stuff.
Yeah.
It's so early aughts, late 90s.
It's
foaming
just
at the mouth.
foaming. Yeah.
I remember this soundtrack was really popular
the
too.
doctor smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, I do like that though. Dude's got a cigarette with like ash that long, and he's like pouring stuff into this gullet for some reason.
Into his nose, yeah.
Yeah. It's an ecto cooler.
I think Costa said he's like, "Oh my god, that can't be real." He's pushing such a long tube in his nose, and you're like, also the doctor's smoking a cigarette while he does
he's
it.
not wearing gloves, and I'm like, and he's smoking a cigarette. Terrible doctor. So I had seen this in the theaters at the time, and I don't remember it being this bad. I had sort of a pleasant memory of it, like a nostalgia maybe. I remember Erica Learson was in it, and I was like, oh, who's that? Rare. She winds up being in the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is super underrated as a remake. Love that movie.
It's the second best Texas Chainsaw movie. No, 2 is pretty fun.
I hate it so much.
It's pretty fun.
I hate it. So yeah, going back and watching it, it is almost immediately terrible. Like as soon as that scene happens, I went, oh no.
When people talk about like, oh, it feels so 90s, early 2000s, you should show them this to make sure that you're on the same page.
Yeah.
The first 10 minutes of this movie to be like, do you mean this? No, you mean worse than, or you don't mean something this bad. You mean like just something Creed.
Yeah.
Creed.
Actually, this movie should have been soundtracked by Creed. Like all of those.
Did you take?
But instead, it was like a smash cut. Actually, pretty decent Marilyn Manson songs.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Don't like Marilyn Manson.
So what did you see that?
He's a rapist.
Wait, this is 2000. So okay, only a year after.
Yeah, less than a year after.
So you were 5.
Because time.
Me? No, because I was going backwards. No, I was 7.
Oh, 7. I don't understand numbers.
Timey-wimey bullshit.
So when did you first see Blair Witch? I'm sorry. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch.
What's the Book of Shadows?
What the hell is
wait a minute.
It's not in the movie at all.
Mentioned.
There is no book
that was my
with
question.
shadows in it or about shadows.
There's no books. It's all
Blair
film.
Witch or any Blair Witch adjacent
no one has a book.
entity has.
That never occurred to me.
What is the fucking Book of Shadows? Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah.
You were 8? 12?
No.
You were 5.
No.
What's numbers?
When did you come over to watch it? Sunday?
Last week.
No, it was Sunday night, right?
Sure.
Sunday night. It was the first time I watched it.
You successfully avoided this for
I did, because I had heard
24 years.
I had heard the sequel was bad, and I really love the original, so
no
I'm
bother.
just gonna enjoy this
Yeah,
when I
this
can
little nugget.
and forget the other one exists.
And what did you think
It
of
was
Book of Shadows?
So bad. It was fun to watch with you and Costa, but it's so bad.
The real book is the friends we made along the way.
I knew it.
Yeah.
And you're so right, Costa.
Robert Monroe is in the chat saying, when Blair Witch 1 came out, my friends took their son who was home for winter break. He was studying, so the movie wasn't spoiled for him. So he thought it was real and was freaked out.
That's perfect.
I told the story on a previous episode of the official CultPop live stream. And I had mentioned that I'd gone with my someone I was dating at the time, and we got to my bedroom at my parents' house, and we were sleeping over, and I was like, while she's in the bathroom, I'm gonna draw a stick man with charcoal on the door, and she was like, oh, whatever, and went to sleep. And then I woke up in the middle of the night, terrified by the stick drawing I made on the door.
Incredible.
I was so spooked
Absolutely
out.
incredible. Played yourself.
Yeah.
I love that.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
What about this movie was good?
Oh, okay.
The goth chick.
She
Kim.
was so bad.
I loved her.
I was certain she never worked again. She's done plenty.
Tons of stuff. That she's
Kim
actually
director.
emphasized.
I just thought the movie was cool. You know, same.
Yeah. It's a quote from the movie.
The movie was cool.
I liked.
That was more emotion, actually. That was a better delivery of that line.
I thought the movie was cool.
I have to have a cigarette and a beer.
I like that they answered the one question I had about the first movie, is where they found the footage.
Yeah.
So that was answered.
You know what? What I liked about this movie, and obviously we're going to spoil a movie that's 24 years old.
Yeah.
I really liked how it played with perception.
Very.
I liked how you were along the ride. You were on the ride along with these characters, experiencing their experience the way they experienced it, and you find out at the end that is not at all what happened. Mm-hmm. Do we think...
Imagine how cool this would be with a good director.
Right?
Yeah, this could have been good.
Side note. So the director, Joe Berlinger, had directed this. He had done the film. They went back, the studio went back and at like all of those scenes at the police station, completely made up after the fact.
I don't hate that.
He had a whole intention for this movie that was undercut because the studio went back and fucked with it. So, but it did give us that sheriff who is amazing.
I was just gonna say I do like.
I love that sheriff.
God damn it!
It's two things.
God
One,
damn.
Joe Berlinger, he plays the doctor that's smoking. Also, the sheriff was fantastic. But I don't actually dislike the interrogation scenes because the way that they're dulled out, you get a reveal of who survives slowly throughout the movie because they don't introduce any of the other characters until like kind of later on.
Yeah.
So all you know is Jeffrey Donovan survives. And then it's not until like 40 minutes in that you know the blonde guy survives and he's crying about the girl and it's like, oh shit, she must die. Or the other one. But then you find out. So like it is used pretty well in the structure of this movie. It's just not tight. It's pretty boring. The way that all of the reveals are like stacked on top of each other at the end of the movie is just so ineffective. It's like cool. It's a cool ass idea because you witnessed it in the context of the movie. And then we get to see the footage that they were filming the whole time, which is in line with the Blair Witch idea. But that was just so poorly
executed,
jumbled on top of everything at the end like a fucking sprinkled sundae. It's
I feel like
terrible.
I think my biggest problem with the editing of this movie and what they added in afterwards are all these like quick cuts of severe violence happening, like pretty badly done. First of all, like it's not shot well.
Yeah.
The effects are pretty bad. But you get these like little MTV flashes of like someone getting jammed in the stomach and the knife is twisting and everything. So you're kind of certain that a big violence has happened. Whereas I think the intention from the director was to, is everything in their head? Because the movie is about mass hysteria, mass hallucination, and how things can infect sort of the broader mindscape of the world, right? And people can all see the same sort of thing and come together and have the same sort of hallucination and psychosis. You lose that effect while you're showing real stabbings really happens, you know, that sort of thing.
So
I think
if
it takes
you
away
told me
from
that the studio asked for those inserts, I'd say fuck that.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with the interrogation stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Like the interrogation stuff is just a narrative structure that the other scenes kind of fit into because we know from jump we're messing around with time because we start with interviews from a year ago and then this back over here. So like the interrogation scenes I don't have a problem with. Yes, this stupid MTV quick cut bullshit in between scene transitions is absolutely awful and it looks like shit.
Yeah.
The other thing that while I think mass hysteria, if those are his words or not, or your interpretation, is a subtext, the movie has a straight context, which is Witch asks to be embodied by Ellie, but Ellie embodies the blonde who infects the rest of them.
Right.
And that is a cool story in and of itself that is just like slapped on at the very end. Even though they're building towards it, it's literally just like slapped on at the end. So like any kind of malicious nature that builds is just boring.
Actually, this brings me to a question.
Yeah.
I meant to ask it earlier. At the end, we find out that the reality we, the viewers, have experienced with the characters is incongruous with the footage that they're later shown.
Yeah.
Do we think
that they recorded too?
that that they were recording it? Do we think that the events happened the way we saw it, and the footage was mystified, or do we think the thing we were experiencing was a glamour and what was caught on camera was real?
The latter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just check.
Camera, like in the context of this movie, these movies, this world, the camera doesn't lie. It's the people that do.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we're shown the footage in the context of the movie, that's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Armoon's in the chat saying, did you mention the viral campaign for the first film, YouTube is Wonky? Yes, Armoon, we did.
Yeah.
We did. And Noel and I were, I think, swept up in it. I think me so more than him, because he was like a film dude at the time. Where
I was on
like a kid.
I was on stupid message boards and stuff.
And to me, I was like, this could 100% be real. But also, it seems weird that they're allowed to make this movie. If these kids are really missing, it seems kind of exploitative.
So we need to jump into 2016's
Blair Witch.
Blair Witch.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't want me to. There we go.
So Blair Witch, just titled Blair Witch, came out September 16th, 2016. I'm sorry, go back. What was the RT for the Blair
14.
Witch Project? Blair Witch Project.
Oh, 14. I'll get you this one.
No, the first one?
86. Yeah, I'll get you this one. I'll get you this one.
Oh,
I'll
I'm
get you
sorry.
this
I didn't
one.
realize this was a typo. This is written by Simon Garrett, directed by Adam Wingard.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot that.
Yeah.
Starring James Allen McCune, Valerie Curry, Corbin Reed, and Wes Robinson. After discovering a video showing what he believes to be his vanished sister, Heather, James and a group of friends head to the forest believed to be inhabited by the Blair Witch. Oh, this is a 38. Okay, that makes sense.
It's almost 3 times as better as the second one.
Yeah. I went and saw this in the. So speaking of marketing, if I recall this correctly, the movie that was coming out was called The Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was no trailers or anything. It was just a new Adam Wingard movie called The Woods, and they did say that it was a found footage horror movie.
Yeah.
July of 2016, there was a secret screening at Comic-Con. At San Diego Comic-Con.
Ah, that's what it was.
And people that were invited or had tickets for it were going in to see The Woods, and there was at our local movie theater, there was a poster for The Woods, directed by Adam Wingard. Mm-hmm. They went into the theater. In real time, they found out they were watching a secret Blair Witch sequel, and then by the time they got out of the theater, the new posters were up.
So cool.
And the creative team was there to woohoo, gotcha.
I wonder if you can get one of those The Woods posters.
Probably.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, probably.
Imagine they're pretty expensive.
But I remember, I also remember, because, we live in a town with a movie theater that doesn't really care about keeping things up to date. After we knew it was the Blair Witch movie, they still had The Woods posters up.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
All right. So I went and saw it in the theater. I was kind of looking forward to it. Because again, in my head, Blair Witch, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2 was actually pretty good. Had Erica Learson. How could it be bad?
Yeah.
And so I went to go see this. And again, pleasantly surprised. I actually quite enjoyed this in the theater. I thought that the idea of the going to, a la the Friday the 13th remake that you love, you have a sibling going to find a missing sibling.
Terrible fucking movie.
Yeah. So I actually quite liked it. I liked how they incorporated newer technology.
I feel triggered.
Like drones and what have you.
Yeah, drones.
I loved that aspect of
the personal cameras, the ear cameras.
Yes.
Oh, that was great. Good idea.
They had motion stuff. He had
Actual GPS.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I walked out of the movie kind of just pleasantly surprised, like, oh, this is pretty good. And I liked sort of the twisty nature of the ending. Mm-hmm. This time, I was a little disappointed because there was a lot about this. So I had misremembered the end of this movie, thinking that it was kind of akin to Final Destination 5.
Yeah.
Where at the end, spoiler alert for Final Destination 5, I believe that's the one where at the end you go through this whole rigmarole with these characters.
It's called The Final Destination.
I'm sorry, The Final Destination.
Excuse me, it's called The Final Destination.
So you go through this whole rigmarole of them defeating death and getting picked off one by one, and then you had survivors at the end. And then the survivors at the end are on a plane getting ready to go somewhere, and you see Devon Sawa from the first movie and all those other kids being escorted off of the plane.
Surprise! Prequel.
It's a surprise prequel.
And there's subtle hints throughout the movie that it's like.
Is there?
Sorry.
I have to go back.
I'm sorry. We'll talk about it later. Talk about it later.
Anyway, I thought it was like that.
Jesus.
I thought it was like that, and I thought for some reason at the end of the end of Blair Witch that they actually got so wimey fucked up that they wound up back when Heather and her crew were there.
I remember. Yeah. No.
And I was wrong. That is not what happens in this movie at all. So I was a little disappointed by that. What did you think?
You were disappointed by your own misremembered expectations? Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Thumbs down. I wasn't right.
Yeah.
What did you think, Alice?
First time I saw this was Monday.
I'm sorry.
You're the worst. I love it.
The first time you saw it was Monday?
Yeah, and I liked it.
You liked it?
Yeah, I had a good time with it. Not as much as the original. I don't think it was needed, but I thought it was an interesting concept to have the brother try and go back, and I liked the added new tech that we have now.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't like about it is the thing that I like so much about the original Blair Witch Project is you don't see the witch.
Yeah, we see this.
That
bitch.
was a big conversation when this movie came out.
And that's part of the.
You don't see her, but you definitely see her.
Yeah.
You see her in the distance.
It's
quick
like
cut
Slender
shit.
Man almost.
Yeah. Was that what that was?
Yeah. She reminds me of how they did the old lady
in It. Chapter 2.
Chapter 2. Yep.
Coming running at you like that.
It's your jam.
Yeah.
It was me. See, I am the Blair Witch. This is my Blair Witch pose.
I liked it when it came out. I thought it was pretty clever. I remembered the ending, and I thought it was pretty clever. Because I also thought they're watching a recreation of the end of the first movie, because I had just watched the first movie. So that run up the stairs is actually a pretty accurate recreation of him with the camera running up, or her with the camera running up. So I was like, oh, cool. That for posterity, they recreated this. That's really nifty. And then you find out the whole reveal at the end. So I remembered it fondly. This time I still enjoyed it, but it is so modern. Yeah. It is the authenticity of the first movie, they didn't even bother trying to recapture. Yeah. This is just a very slick found footage movie using an IP. Is it cool for what it is? Yes. Does it capture anything that was effective about the first movie? No. No. This is like a slasher version of Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
We were talking about some of the kills. Well, yeah, kills. I don't know why I'm air quoting the kills.
Some of the murders.
One of the most gnarly scenes in horror movie history, if I may, is when, they're surrounded by all of the stick figures, and they blame the one girl because it's got her hair tied up. Like, oh, you just made this. And then she breaks the stick figure, and the woman breaks in half backwards. Which they
ruin in the trailer.
I noticed that.
Really?
I saw the trailer after watching this, and I was like, oh, it's right there. They showed us
that's
the whole time.
Firecracker from The Boys.
Who's Firecracker?
The
Snapped lady.
The Ben Shapiro style lady in the new season.
I haven't seen the new season.
The redhead.
Cool.
I haven't watched The Boys.
I'm gonna catch up.
Really
with
good.
I like that.
Yeah, this season's really good.
Some of the kills, it's definitely more, like you say, a slick.
It's a slasher version of which in and of itself fun. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of fun, but it's not the same thing as the original movie. It's not. They're not even trying to do the same thing.
To be fair, one of the things I respected at the time about Book of Shadows : Blair Witch 2 was that they did a completely different thing, and they were like, we're not even going to try to recreate the thing that just came out last year because it's impossible. And I think same goes for this one. I'm glad they didn't try to was this real or not, or any of some of those effects that they put in, or I was going to think of the word, but I'm glad they didn't try to recreate what was. Do a new thing.
There was something Contextually a lot more fun about like there's these people that don't know they're in a horror movie. This one I think it doesn't have that vibe. It's like they all know they're in a horror movie.
Right.
And that's because of they all experienced the phenomenon of the first one.
Yeah.
So like maybe they do know. But it's just it's a really slick Adam Wingard movie.
Yeah.
The dude that went on to do Godzilla versus Kong. Like he's not a small director.
Yeah.
He's not like a subtle dude.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Right.
But if just taken on as a
Found footage.
cool timey-wimey found footage slasher movie, some really solid shit in this movie.
Yeah.
Like really solid shit.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked the timey-wimey stuff towards the end with the snippet that they see in the beginning
of the movie.
is actually, and they think it's Heather. It's actually her running through the house.
So that's the timey-wimey stuff that I misremembered, thinking that it was like, oh, right, it tied into the first movie in a cool way. No, it just tied into the beginning of this movie in a cool way.
I also like to think that they took that, so it like a good sequel should do, it recontextualizes some stuff from the first movie. Like they're not lost because the witch is confusing them. They're in a time loop probably.
Yeah.
Which is really cool and fun. So like maybe the world didn't know they were missing for as long as they felt like they were. Because in this one you actually get that in real time, because instead of it being one source of truth, there's multiple sources of truth because everyone has their own camera on them as well as a drone. So it gave them the opportunity to show, oh shit, this person is experiencing something completely different in the same parallel way that this person's experiencing it, which was really cool. It's a slick ass movie and I really liked it, but it's not as eerie or unsettling at all.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I agree. I thought that was just because like I was like, oh, okay, we're doing this again.
Also,
But, like, now with higher tech.
At
But-
the end of this
Yeah, yeah.
movie, the two of them are in the attic of the house, and they just decide willy-nilly, if we don't look at her, she can't hurt us.
Oh, I mean, it's not that's like he does it is a plot contrivance, but it's not like out of nowhere. He's been obsessed with this for 25 years because his sister went missing. So it was if you stand in the corner and don't look at her, he literally says she's choosing a sacrifice. The other one is supposed to stand in the corner and wait their turn while she does someone else. Yeah. So his logic was stand in the corner, don't look at her. Yeah. She's choosing someone else. Let her choose someone else. And he hears his sister's voice and turns around like a fucking idiot.
Yeah. And then she hears his voice and turns around like a fucking idiot.
But she kind of, sorry.
I thought they didn't look because in the beginning, the other guy, Lane, told him that like he's like, everybody who looks at her just dies.
And that's
you die from looking at her.
Yeah.
And that's also
forgot.
her. Like, I thought that was a really cool thing that she tried to do with like showing her the viewfinder.
Awesome.
Which would have been cool if she didn't do dumb girl thing and was like, what?
I know. I was like, oh, maybe she's gonna. Oh.
It's like we needed the movie to end at that point. Yeah. But yeah, I would have loved also too just her getting out of the house and then we just let her be a sad ending, lost in the woods, but like having her die immediately after that was like fucking A. Yeah. I also liked the subtext of them being friends that didn't go for it because there are so many scenes where there's like tension. There's a lot of cool stuff in this movie.
Where do I know her from?
I don't know.
She looks so familiar. Maybe it's from this movie. But I would say if we had to rank ratings.
Alien Covenant, The Endless, which is another incredibly good timey-wimey movie. So good. Shotgun Wedding, Under the Silver Lake. She works just in small roles and a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
If we had to rate them, I would go obviously the Blair Witch Project, and then Blair Witch, and then
Under the Table. Actually, we're on the 4th floor of this building, probably at the foundation.
Book of Shadows, the Blair Witch 2.
Yeah.
Christopher Goodnight's in the chat saying, the only found footage movie I support is Cloverfield. That was a fun romp. I like that movie. And I was trying to think of another, I think my favorite besides this one of a found footage movie. Oh man, it's gone. I had it right a second ago and it's gone. Ronnie says, hey folks, thanks for a cool show. I worked at Hollywood Video when it first came out on VHS. Yeah, I'm Highlander old. People coming back after renting it and asking, what? Explain the ending. Really? It's so well choreographed. It's shockingly well choreographed. Also, show them your shirt.
Oh yeah, heck yes, VHS.
Heck yes, VHS.
that's our thoughts about the Blair Witch Project. Yeah, guys. Everyone, if you're seeing this afterwards or in the chat, give us your ranking of the Blair Witch movies. And honestly, too, if you've never seen them, revisit them. They're really fun movies.
Also, let us know your favorite found footage movie. Because like Ronnie says here, it was the birth of a movie genre. So it occurred to me while watching the original
Paranormal Activity is what
Blair
you're thinking
Witch.
about.
What?
Paranormal Activity is what you're thinking about probably before. Oh,
no. Within 4 years, there were 2 horror genre redefining phenomenon. Scream in 96 and then Blair Witch in 99. I just think that's kind of neat. Like they both spawned so many copies.
I mean, I think didn't the second Scream come out like almost less than a year later, and then the third one came out probably around the same time as
That's
Blair
true. It was
Witch.
probably out before Blair Witch 1 came out.
All three of them were together.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to run.
All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com. And next week we're going to talk about...
We are going to talk about Sleepy Hollow, which also is the 25th anniversary of that movie.
By Tim Burton.
In a month. And a special surprise that I cooked up for Alice and JD. So you got to tune in. You got to tune in to find out what that is.
I'm scared.
He's going to take our heads. Yeah.
And your butt.
Or give us heads. I'm not
Go
sure.
first. I'll stand in the corner.
Get over there. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and we'll talk at you later.
Doo-doo-doo.
Skeedly-dee.